On the way out, the city takes everything it can. But outside the crowds, I can feel my lungs again. Born for the blue skies, we'll survive the rain. Born for the sunrise, we'll survive the pain. We're singing, hey, you can't count us out. We've been running up and against the crowd. Yeah, we're the dark horses. We're singing, wait, it's not over now. We've been down, but we've never been out. Yeah, we're the dark horses. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, another beautiful August day where we are deep down inside our underground bunker, plotting how to overcome the wave of socialism and Marxism that is headed our way if we don't stand up and do something about it, Minnesota. How you doing?
It's going to run us over.
Yeah. Like a freight train.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll die trying, but it's over. It's over.
Hang it up, folks.
Yep, hang it up. I'm out of here.
Well, that's a cheery opening.
Well, now it can only get better. Now the show can only get gooder.
Right.
That's the thing.
All right.
So, Jay,
yes.
I should know that, shouldn't I?
I don't know.
Yeah, it vaguely sounds familiar.
Really?
But, I'm just gonna concede right away. It's the only song on my mind right now is Roxette because I was listening to that on the way in.
My word!
So I just say it's not Roxette.
Ever good?
Oh, they were great. Reminds me of Teen Night back at the YMCA over in.
I've got lots
you don't
of
join
those
the Joyride, huh?
I've got lots of those songs. I always thought that Roxette was kind of cheesy. I don't know. I'll take Depeche Mode or something if I'm going to do the Europop thing.
Well, I don't know what mode you're in, but let me just say this. I don't have any idea. Lay it on us.
That is the song Dark Horses by Switchfoot.
Switchfoot.
Yes. Now, a couple of fun facts. Switchfoot once upon a time. That was always fun.
Was it like Footloose? Did you switch feet?
No, it's a skateboard term or a surfing term actually, where believe it's you right foot forward and then you switch and your left foot forward.
Well, that's interesting.
Anyways, the other thing is these songs that Andrew normally doesn't get, although he's been on a little bit of a hot streak. So,
a hot streak for me is like 1 out of 10.
Yeah, they do have something to do with the show. We always put I choose a song, I put some lyrics out there that have to do with our subject matter, and then every week we stick that out on the Community Solutions Music from the Podcast playlist out on Spotify so that you can listen to all the great rock and roll. This song will be out there. The line that really got me, it stuck in my head a couple hours ago, and I couldn't remember what song it was from. It's the line.
Mine too, mine too.
The city takes everything it can. That is the line that has to deal with the subject matter today.
Yeah, definitely. They're always hungry. It's just amazing. We need some more variety, though, on the spot fly. We need some Oak Ridge Boys or something on
Not
there.
doing it. Once in a while, I've dipped into country, like with Eric Church. A couple of times we've dipped into...
Consider him country? I guess so.
Yeah, he's country rock. He's kind of like Charlie Daniels was,
Okay, like Chuck.
What was I going to say? And we've kind of dipped into hip-hop a little bit with the 1985 Bears and LL Cool J.
The one I got right.
Yeah,
cool LL J.
You got both of those right.
That's right.
You're 100% on our hip-hop songs on the playlist.
Okay, put some more hip-hop songs out there. We'll lower my percentage, okay? I mean...
No, because I don't like most of it.
I don't like most of it. I do like a lot of country, though.
Yes.
And we need to get some more of that because I'll get that right. There's got to be some old George Jones song talking about the city coming in, closing his favorite bar or something, okay? I mean, there's got to be something at some point.
Well...
Going across the county line or something like that.
As we get up there in...
Bo and Luke going across the county line in Chickasaw County.
So many times when we've talked about county issues that I've wanted to do Coward of the County from Kenny Rogers.
I would get that one.
Yes.
So, all right. If we ever talk about Louisiana, though, we've got to either bring in the Oak Ridge Boys or Mel McDaniel. Okay,
yeah.
So I'll be looking for a Parish episode. We can do a Parish episode.
I already, Knives of New Orleans from Eric Church.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
No school bus nagging shows. All right. Anyhow, Jay.
Yes.
We got some sad news this week.
Yes.
It's amazing what happened. On Sunday,
Yes.
we got the news that former wrestler James Harris, otherwise known as Kamala, passed away.
Kamala the Ugandan Giant, yes.
But was resurrected a couple of days later and is now running for vice president. What are the odds of that?
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Is that what happened in like 3 days?
Yes.
Kamala died. It was a big news story, and now all of a sudden, Sleepy Joe has brought on the Kamala Jr., or whatever you want to call her. I could call her a few other things. On to run. I just want to say something.
Yes.
Quickly about Kamala.
Yes. Which one?
The one who passed away.
Okay.
James Harris, who played Kamala, passed away age of 70.
Yes.
Another pro wrestler, unfortunately, had diabetes real bad. Actually lost a leg, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
He was only like 475 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think he was that big. But wrestling always,
Yeah. Well, that's true. They
when Hulk Hogan went against Andre the Giant, he was 1,800 pounds when he body slammed him.
That's
okay?
true.
Brother. So, I mean, I don't know his build weight and what it really was, but he may remain heavy most of his life. I have 2 endearing memories of Kamala.
Yes.
Because I don't remember his initial WWF run when Hogan first got big in the rock and wrestling. I didn't have cable then. I don't really. They did a house show run, and Kamala I'm sure was a great opponent for Hulk, but I don't really remember it. I remember when he came back to the WWF in the early 90s.
I remember his AWA days.
Okay, well, a little bit of that too, but the AWA was, by the time I was watching, was hard to get into.
Yeah.
Once they lost Kurt Hennig and the Rockers went to the WWF, it was hard to watch Larry Zbyszko at 55 years old wrestle,
Vern Gagne,
wrestle
who was
Tom
89.
Zink. Yeah, it was difficult. Love Larry, but by that time he should have just stuck to commentating.
Right.
And there's 2 memories. I don't know why I remember this, but he had a SummerSlam match against The Undertaker, against Mark Calloway, The Undertaker.
Right.
And was taken away in a hearse or maybe it was Survival Series. I don't remember. It was somehow he got like buried alive, like the first ever buried alive match. Undertaker like nailed him shut, wheeled him out in a hearse or something. It was a large coffin.
I imagine it.
Kamala wrestled barefoot, and
that
bump had to be that bump had to be hard. And then the other one, he turned before he left the company and went back independent. He became a good guy or a baby face.
Yeah.
And you remember Slick, the wrestler Slick,
who
had become the Reverend Slick. That was a short-lived gimmick at the end.
Right.
And to Americanize Kamala, that was the gimmick. He took Kamala bowling one time. And he bowled barefoot. And I just remember, I don't know why I remember this, but he was pretty good. But it was kind of like, he was slapping his stomach when he got a strike. It was just the weirdest thing. And for some reason, those 2 things stick out. I mean, this guy, made tons of money, I'm sure. And all I remember him is bowling and getting taken away in a coffin.
Kimchi was his manager.
Yes.
For a long time.
And you know who that was?
I don't remember.
That was the Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi.
It was.
Yeah, he played Kimchi with the other guy, Bruno, Harvey Wimpleman.
Yeah. That's the guy I remember.
Okay, so so that was that run. So
wow.
So my lasting memories, and then he came back to life a few days ago. What do you make? I have my opinions on this. They're not very good. But we now have the Biden-Harris ticket, which is a weird. I just some things roll off your tongue, and they become just ingrained in America here. And I keep saying Biden-Harris, and it just doesn't ring a bell to me. I mean, what? I consider myself flabbergasted at this pick. I'll explain why in a minute. But what's your initial reaction from that?
It's strange. They couldn't get along. I mean, that's being in a primary, though. But, I mean, she went after him pretty bad.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to get into
the
that
debates.
in my opinion.
You know, and to just be like, oh, everything's okay. Everything's great. You know, I mean, that's worse than pro wrestling. I mean, that's a less believable story.
So I'm just going to say some quick. I have a rule if I were advising presidential candidates, you never pick a rival like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. You don't pick a rival. You pick a fresh face, somebody different, somebody who's not mucked up in that crap.
Like the governor of Georgia?
Oh, yeah. What's her name?
Stacey Abrams?
No, Florida Evans. That's her name. Remember?
Yes.
Good times.
Yes.
Dynamite! No, well, she's not a fresh face. I mean, it's just some. But I mean, you know, when you narrow your pick, when race and gender are your only two qualifications, which, you know, to me is we're supposed to judge people by the content of their character. That's what I thought. I guess we don't do that.
That's done. Yeah,
that's over with.
That's out. That's out.
you sit here and you look at that list, and that list ain't the longest. Okay, I mean, that's not the longest list there.
No,
there's a handful of people, and that's. You know, there was, I don't know how many serious contenders there were, maybe 3 or 4. I mean, I don't know if the list went much further than that.
I think...
You're considering Susan Rice, the list could not have been very long. No offense on Miss Rice. She is not a person of no accomplishments in her life or something, but... Susan, if I asked a person at the bar who Susan Rice was, nobody'd have any idea. So I'm just saying that list is not the one.
But here's what mystifies me about it. Okay, she's from California for one, so you've already got California in the bag. That doesn't make your ticket stronger. It's supposed to bring along the moderates of the party when you are all of a sudden the most. What did he bill himself? The most.
Biden doesn't even know.
He doesn't know. But so you bring along somebody that's supposed to entice the moderates who, she's got the law and justice part, I guess.
But then distanced herself from that.
All of the socialist parts. And so the moderates hate her for her socialist parts, and the socialists hate her for her moderate parts. And it wasn't really that moderate when you consider that she went after the guy that wrote the column discovering that Planned Parenthood was selling baby parts, and all of the other people she decided to go after. I'm
going to tell you something though.
Yeah,
her record as a prosecutor is not as bad, I think, as some people have made it out to be. What's bad?
Not as bad as Keith Ellison.
What's bad though is that she's distanced herself from it.
Yeah.
Now she wants prosecutors to be activists.
Right.
And that's not what she was when she was a prosecutor. I mean, a prosecutor is supposed to be cold-blooded. They're supposed to go after the criminals, not decide what laws they're going to prosecute. They got to be like police. They can't just say, "Well, I disagree with that law, so I'm not going to arrest anybody." No. That's what the legislature does. They pass the laws. And if you look at it, I mean, people like Tulsi Gabbard really went after her. And Tulsi was not wrong on some of the issues. No. But I feel like there's plenty to attack on her. That's probably the least of it when it comes to... Now,
she's not likable.
No, she's not. But let me back up 1 second here. There's 2 things that I thought... she would never get picked. I never thought she was even being considered.
No.
April of 2019, before both of them ran for president, both Biden and Harris.
Yes.
She came out and said she believed Joe Biden's accusers of sexual assault.
Yep.
Now, stop and think for a minute. Sexual assault. Now, that's serious business.
Absolutely.
That's not... inappropriately putting a hand on somebody's back.
That's not saying "Hey, baby" in the hallway.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
assault means. I put that close to attempted rape. Okay. Now, if you believe that, now it's bad no matter what her answer is.
Yes.
Because if you believe that, really, truly, and honestly, and you believe in Me Too, and you've spoke in front of these people, which she has. Go back to what you said about Brett Kavanaugh. Okay. How do you even consider running with this guy if that's what you think? Now, she wants to vote for him in November, hang her nose in the air and do it. Okay, I've done that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's justified in terms of policy. But how in the world do you believe? Now, either A, she was lying
Yeah.
when she said that, or B, she doesn't give a damn, and power and all that is what really matters most. I've heard people say, oh, well, that happens in a Really? Sexual assault? These aren't two people disagreeing about a tax cut.
I know.
Okay, so I mean, that's... I can't believe the cavalier attitude, especially from you Me Too people. People who are really victims of this should be pissed off at her.
Well,
I mean,
I agree.
And in a debate, she basically called Biden a racist. Now, look, Biden's
the whole school bus story.
which was unpopular with everybody, blacks included.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Biden was right on the issue. He's not a racist because he opposes a bus. Okay? Biden's a lot of things. He's not a racist. Okay, let's just be blunt here. I don't think he is.
I don't know.
I
the
think
whole
he's
thing with
I think
Robert
he's
Byrd. And
I think he's an old guy with baggage on that, and maybe doesn't pass the smell test with some of the 20-year-olds who've had the white guilt put in their face. You can get a quote from Biden in the 70s where he says something like that. That's the thing. When you nominate a guy with a 50-year history, you're going to find things like he's going to wear that the whole campaign. But let me say another thing too.
Yeah.
Here's the other reason it's equally perplexing. You hit on it a little bit. Biden's whole... Actually, I don't know what the point of him running is, to be honest. But the whole rationale for him that others have conjured up, okay, is that the Democrats had a sincere person running who had a following, and his name was Bernie Sanders. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. They all got together, Klobuchar, Harris, Buttigieg, Biden, who's the shrimp from New York? Bloomberg,
yeah.
Right before the March Super Tuesday, right before the virus hit, and coalesced around Biden to defeat Sanders. Now, the whole thing is Sanders couldn't win. Sanders wasn't going to win. He couldn't raise money, blah, 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 which there's pros and cons to that. He couldn't raise... Corporate people would not have backed him the way they'll back Biden. All the credit card people and all that are all somehow in Delaware. Somehow they all end up in Delaware. I just don't know. That's just got to be a coincidence.
Yes.
But...
Like the least interesting state in
I've been
all
there.
of the
I've been there.
Union.
I blinked. I almost missed. Okay.
Yes.
Now, and
sorry to all our Delawarean listeners.
yeah, I mean, look, it's just there. It's just kind of there. So I sit here and I think to myself, the whole rationale of him running is that he can win or he's electable, or whatever you think of it. I don't sneer at it, but the whole thing is that he's the least wacky of all. I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
I think he's the last gasp of the old Democrats that you and I grew up with, okay, because he's part of that generation. Now, a pick like Harris, undermines that entire argument.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not moderate in any way, shape, or form. Her opinions on the issues. Forget what she did when she was a prosecutor. Okay, when she dated Willie Brown, who was 31 years older and slept her way to the top. Okay, forget that. Now, if you look at terms of policy, and you look at where Biden's got to go, okay, he's got about 10 states he's trying to flip, and about 6 states where he's playing defense. Okay, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, Maine, Virginia, these states that he's got to win, that Mrs. Clinton won by a small margin.
Yes.
The 7 or 8 states he's trying to get: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina. We all know that, okay? Can you tell me he has to win over people who voted for Donald Trump, period? He can't win.
That's not going to happen.
He can't win any way, shape, or form if that doesn't happen. And Donald Trump can lose Pennsylvania and still win. He can lose Wisconsin and still win. He can lose Michigan and still win. He can lose 2 of them and still win. Biden's got to win all of them. Now, you tell me what state, what person is sitting there going, I voted for Donald Trump last time, and maybe they don't love him, or maybe they didn't vote for Republican before that. Where in the world is the thinking going that she helps the ticket in any place that he doesn't already have Okay, like you said, he can win California 99-1, and it doesn't matter. Okay, he can win inner cities in New York and in Massachusetts and all that, and that doesn't matter either.
Nope.
So that swing voter in Ohio, who looks like Kamala Harris with the Green New Deal, with we're going to give illegal aliens health care, which we pretty much do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, blah, blah, blah. We go down the list. She's against the NRA, but she owns a gun. You know, I mean, she's got a record of prosecuting people. Now she's woke. She thinks the person she's running with is a racist and a rapist.
Yes.
Now, explain to me that ticket.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think that
I'll tell you my theory. I want to hear yours, though.
I think she's going to owe some favors. She is going to have to play ball with the administration that Biden is going to bring in, because the DNC has set it up for him that way. Yes. And so you're going to have people like Susan Rice.
You already know who's getting appointed.
Yep, absolutely.
The favors have already... And look.
And
if he wins...
Those are the people that will be running the country.
And let's back up a second. Biden gets in. Klobuchar will get in. Buttigieg will get in. They will all... Biden owes all of them something.
Yeah.
Okay. And he owes the old Clinton Obama people will get their jobs back. And then he's got to satisfy the Sanders wing of the party somehow.
Yes.
So, but they're going to be people that in a minority that can be controlled. Look, we all know that's coming.
Right.
Okay. Obama did it too. He appointed Mrs. Clinton and he appointed Eric Holder. We got it. Okay. So, but what's the spin that makes her a good Veep?
Well, part of it because of the big gaffes that Joe Biden has had with African Americans, and there is a pretty big chunk of African Americans that like Donald Trump, even if they won't say it. He's always been popular with them until he ran for office as a Republican. But I think that they have found out real quick in 4 years that he does things for them and not give them handouts, but making it so that there's jobs and they're creating wealth and they're able to move out of the city and into owning a home. And
I think also the criminal justice reform
and the criminal justice reform is the other one. Yes. Yeah. So because she always used to say that she's an Indian American with a Jamaican father, I think it is.
Her father is very prominent.
Yes.
Kamala Harris has not sweated out a paycheck in her life.
No. And
Harris' father was a professor at Berkeley University.
Right. So she is never,
she's not a rags to riches story, which is nothing on her.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is that she's an Indian thing, or not American Indian, sorry, Indian American, two different things. Asian.
Not a native.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's there, but it's not as important as the black part, because that's
somebody from Jamaica. Are we considering that African American?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they held more slaves than we did.
Yeah.
The larger percentage of the slaves went to South America, Jamaica, and the other Caribbean.
And the largest slave trade area was Havana, Cuba.
Yes.
That was the drop off.
Yeah. And so that's why there is such a large black population there. So yes, African American. She's in America now, has an African heritage through Jamaica. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is that it's being used for political gain. It's
here's the other thing. Yeah. If there was more substance, you wouldn't have.
You wouldn't need it.
Hello, I checked the boxes.
Yes,
I think, and you touched on this too. Biden has some internal polling. Democrats are getting nervous. They're really getting nervous. I mean, 2 months ago they were Biden's way, which nobody believed that except them. But I think Mrs. Clinton had the same internal polls, showed her losing, and I don't think her campaign believed them. I just think they were arrogant and Biden sitting in a bunker going on CNN, the swing voter in Ohio is not watching CNN. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know who he's reaching by doing that. And they've got some internal polling saying, look, our support is slipping here. Mm-hmm. Either A, it's with the Bernie Sanders people, that's a 78-year-old guy. It's black and Hispanic, but I don't think they've ever been wild for Biden.
No.
He's not their guy.
No.
Okay, and it doesn't mean a lot of them won't vote for him in November. I'm not saying that. But Biden's campaign lacks a theme or a message as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of all over the place. And I think
kind of like Biden.
Yeah, and I think that the calculation was made that if they're going to win, they have got to get out that minority vote. Now,
right.
I don't buy that because they say that every election, mm-hmm. and they don't ever say, we had record voter claiming that they have. Right. 2016, they claimed a record amount of Hispanics registered to vote, and Donald Trump flipped the state. Yeah. So either A, they didn't vote for Hillary, or B, that was bull.
Right.
And I actually think that just here in Minnesota, talking to a few people running for legislature, one person who ran last time and is running again this time has told me that the area is redder.
Yeah.
That what people tell you at their door is a little different than what you're hearing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Biden's people are starting to believe that that's true. And that's why it stuns me on the one hand, because to me, you've got to go after those people who voted for Obama or Bill mm-hmm. Clinton or Gore or whoever who switched to Trump. And there clearly was a shift there.
Yeah.
Okay? For whatever reason, immigration, trade, it wasn't the typical Republican vote. It was whatever the vote Mitt Romney didn't get.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not hearing issues from the Biden camp. I'm not hearing solutions. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, what reason are you giving for switching votes this time?
Yeah, not much of one.
So I'm just perplexed by it. I'm perplexed at how this helps Biden in Ohio.
The thing that worries me is the mail-in voting.
That's not going to be easy to get together because every Secretary of State, the deep blue states are going to do whatever, but Trump's not going to win them anyway.
Right.
So it's the purple states that it has to be. I don't understand how you can just all of a sudden say we're going to start mail-in voting and just do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no process in place. I mean, I've been in the project world. You have to have a long arc where you come up with an idea. That's the design phase. And then you move into writing requirements. How is this going to work?
It takes us 10 years to build a highway, but we're going to start mail-in voting tomorrow.
I know. And you've got to test, and you've got to find your defects, and you've got to retest.
And also look at the primary. The mail-ins have to be postmarked the day of.
Right.
Meaning, we may not know. I mean, if the state doesn't have a lot of early voting, you may not know results. Right. So, I mean, it is a cluster blank.
Like Al Franken's race. Happened to find 6,000 votes in the trunk of a car somewhere.
It could go that way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it won't be close enough, but.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it could happen, all over again. Hey, we're up to shore here in Beaver Bay, and we found another 3,000 ballots here sitting under a trash can, and I don't know why they're there.
Okay. Okay, Sven and Oli. All right, so just consider myself perplexed that Kamala came back to life. I mean, it was just whatever. Okay. Moving on, Jay. Speaking of federal money, local governments here in Minnesota are wrestling with something. How do you spend free money?
that's a tough one.
I mean, Jay, all this free money here. How do you spend it?
Because you got to put some of it into the community so that they see you did something with it, but you still got to keep enough of it for yourself.
Oh yeah, you got to build a park bench and dedicate it to yourself or to
but then
the past city manager.
You need to. Then you need to increase benefits, and you need to build a new building, and you need to.
Well, and let's
balance.
Let's remember here. This is quote the COVID CARES Act.
Yes,
the free money from the federal government that they borrowed from the Fed that printed it, bought it back, sent it to China, and then we'll pay off the bonds.
Oh, they didn't send any of this to China. This was fresh off the printer.
But they send plenty already, so China still has a lot.
Well, we're paying off our debts, yes.
You're paying off our bonds until 2688. Okay, but and under the emergency powers of the governor, because the legislature tried to pass some bills as to how to spend this.
Yes.
The governor refused to work with them and decided to go spend the money himself.
Surprise.
Yes, which the Constitution, of course, denies that he can do that. Everybody's up in arms about President Trump talking about a tax holiday for 90 days. Mm-hmm. But, the governor wants to spend a couple bill by himself. Yeah, that's fine.
Write it. Just sign the check.
Yeah, exactly. Just send it out. Why don't they send it to individuals? Wouldn't that be harder to do? But, I mean, and I actually think, I don't want another stimulus check.
No.
Because sending it to a bunch of people who aren't working or already getting unemployment, okay, it's got to go to people who are working. And that's what and you got to benefit employers. That's why the payroll tax, which, remember, the employers match,
right,
is just such a much better idea. Forget that for a minute, though. Local officials, okay, are wrestling with how they can spend this free money, Jay. Because, of course, the money comes with strings attached, which they're all whining about.
Yes.
They can't just throw it somewhere. The money cannot be used to cover lost tax revenue, which actually is more of a problem for the state, I think, than it is for, local people. And it must be dedicated to pandemic-related costs. We're going to get into what they're trying to say is a pandemic-related cost.
Yes.
Cities and towns must commit the cash by November 15th. Boy, wow, what a deadline. And we can have mail-in ballots next week, but they got to take months to decide how to spend free money. Or the money will be kicked up to county officials. Hey, cities, please do something, okay? We don't want Fernando and all the in Hennepin County spending all this money. Fernando Valenzuela and whoever.
Let's not fund the blue extension of the light rail.
Oh, goodness gracious! Under the use it or lose it constraints. This is from NPR MinPost. I'm sorry. The article is on what's the date on this damn thing? August 10th, 2020. If you're keeping score at home. Under those provisions, cities and counties are quickly finding ways to spend federal aid. Finding ways.
Yeah, that's always good when you have to find ways to spend money.
Yeah. As Lisa Bodie, Government Affairs, listen to this quote, Affairs Director for the city of Moorhead, said in a recent council meeting, quote, "We don't want to forfeit $1." End quote. So
wow.
That gives you their mentality there. Okay. Now, eventually, the governor decided, again, through some complicated garbage, about how to distribute this money. I don't even want to go through it because it's just cities of a certain size get a certain amount per person or something.
Cities that rhyme with Minneapolis get a whole bunch.
Yeah. Get zero. But what they want to do with this money, I really question how much pandemic-related... First off, how much pandemic-related cost does a city incur? Okay, no, stop.
Yes.
County level, You could see a hospital. You could see some emergency services, which you could somewhat see at a local level if a city's big enough.
Right.
Okay? They may lose a little revenue, but they'll recoup it at some point. I mean, at some point, the property tax money will come in. Okay, and most of it probably has. People have probably paid their fees and they've paid their licenses and all
the
that.
income taxes had to be paid last month.
Right, and I mean, and that's the state anyway. So I mean, you know,
filters back down.
It does, and so they'll get their LGA money and all that. So I mean, what pandemic related costs have they been associated with? 'Cause I kept thinking about that all day. Like, where have the cities lost money, quote unquote?
They had to put up plexiglass in City Hall for people that come and talk to the city clerk.
Okay.
That's
So
all
you
I
get
got.
that at Walmart for $15.
That's
Okay,
all I got.
Okay.
I suppose in some cities, maybe they had to, I don't know if they had to do anything special around like garbage or recycling, if the cities have their hands in that. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else a city would have to do. That doesn't revolve around like their own staff and maybe setting up a way for them to work from home instead of coming into the office, or that might mean buying some more machines.
Okay, again, could
Networking
they just set up the barriers and sit next to each other? Okay,
Yeah.
Put
them in an airtight box.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Go to the city of Ramsey. There's plenty of rooms for everybody to work in.
Oh, absolutely. Every city in the metro could have a room.
Yeah, Apple Valley. Every city employee their own escalator. All right. Several cities contacted said they expect to direct a significant chunk of the money to city expenses related to the pandemic. In Alexandria, they are getting $1 million. And that will be spent on technology upgrades for employees to work from home. Now, Jay,
I nailed it.
Wouldn't Windows 95 just suffice? I mean, why do they need $1 million for that?
In this day and age, but it doesn't cost $1 million to get Windows 10.
Okay, fine.
And that's called you go to the local Micro Center or Best Buy and buy a $500 computer that comes with Windows 10 on it.
Currently, quote, currently we can't easily or with any quality connect the mayor and council to the public through the video, said city spokesperson Sarah. Oh boy, stand there.
What?
Stand there.
Stand there?
Stand there. So there's no easy way they can connect the mayor and the council to the public. Boy, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Funny, I can watch council meetings on TV all the time. So what are they talking about? In Alexandria, they don't do that?
Yeah. Between being able to watch it on TV, and then I understand if you're doing like a public hearing and you want to get input from the public, but you know what? I mean, that's with Zoom. You can do moderation. And,
you can also do audio. Yeah. I mean, you can just do audio if worst comes to worst.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be over. Why you don't need to set this up permanently?
It'd be, hey, we called this meeting to order. If you have a request and need to talk to our City Council, you can call 1-800-643-7484. The lines are open.
976, $1.99 a minute. You youngsters get your mom and dad's permission. And if you don't get your parents' permission, 50, 60 calls a day. No, I'm kidding. Here, listen to this. Boy, this cost $1 million too.
Yes.
The city also expects to use the CARES Act money to buy signs in city buildings that will highlight COVID-19 regulations. Boy, there's another $1 million.
$1 million to buy signs.
Here's an idea. Put them on the computer you just spent $1 million on. And the printer, print them off.
Go buy a ream of paper down at Office Depot for $20.
Get the local Girl Scouts to come in and make them. Okay?
You might even be able to get some colored paper for a little more.
Scissors and everything. Maybe some glue. The kids can eat the glue. I don't know. So there's $1 million, Alexandria.
A lot of glitter can be bought for $1 million.
Okay. Winona mayor Mark Peterson
Yes.
said the council is still deliberating on how it wants to spend the $2 million that they get. But one possibility is to reimburse fire and police departments for extra staff costs. That includes overtime incurred with a new shift system where the public safety workers rotate weeks at a time. Blah blah blah. Okay, if they're still working and they're shifting shifts.
Yes.
Okay, now this happened at my day job too. How much more does it cost to say, okay, your police, we're open 24/7. Okay, they don't, the police don't shut off and all punch out at 4:30. Okay, so they're open 24 hours. So how is it having, okay, we're going to have less people on this, and so we're going to spread this out. How does that cost more money?
I don't know.
Okay.
Shouldn't.
I mean, and I can also tell you overtime is built into budgets.
Yes.
I've seen this happen in Crystal where things like the frolics and that, there's a certain amount of overtime that is budgeted. That is kind of BS. I can't believe Winona does not do that.
Yeah.
They're a much bigger city. I think it's kind of nonsense that they have to budget that for overtime. Now, so how are they going to spend $2 million? There's no way that overtime costs $2 million.
No.
Bunch of part-time firefighters. I mean, how many of them are getting overtime?
I don't know. New rash of cities going through the process to become Green Step. Right? How much did that cost New Hope? That was a lot of money in employee hours.
I don't even want to know. There's just no hope with New Hope. Okay. Bemidji City Manager Nate Matthews said their main focus is to recover budget expenses, including money spent on PPE, but also staff time. What is this staff time again? For developing and implementing protocols, preparedness plans.
That should be part of their normal job. Like 40
what else were
hours
they
a week.
doing? If you want a preparedness plan, I have an idea. Call the CDC.
Yeah, and here's another
The governor
idea.
and the president laid out plans for months.
Here's another idea. Hey, let's put on hold the project where you guys are looking to increase fees on everything, and let's get an emergency plan together this week, and then next week we can go back to increasing fees. And so you don't need the overtime. Let's just shift gears and let's do this here.
Now, here's another. Bemidji, by the way, $1.1 million. $1.1 million.
Yes.
One expense that this guy highlights was the purchase of barricades the city put in parking lots to help restaurants grow their outdoor seating. You know any $1 million barricades out there?
I've never priced them out.
I have a hard time believing that they cost very much.
No. It's a bunch of concrete. So
or it's
or
metal
whatever,
of some kind. I mean, and some places didn't even have barricades. I mean,
that's the other thing. In that last thing you read, how much can you spend on PPE? You don't need at the city. You don't need to dress up in gowns and shields and you're wearing what? Masks, disposable masks, and maybe rubber gloves once in a while.
Possibly at the most.
How much can you spend on that?
Exactly.
Go to Sam's Club and buy the bulk thing of disposable masks for $15.
Yeah, and get the
1,000 of them or
get
whatever.
the hand sanitizer. It looks like a bottle of vodka. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that's possible. Yeah, I mean, I like to ask my wife how much her where she's a nurse. I'd like to see how much
Maybe
they
you should
spend. Yeah,
get her on the horn.
Why don't they?
Right now.
How about Bemidji? How about you send some money to where my wife works? Then they could use the PPE.
Yeah.
And if you have a bunch of people working from home, they don't need it.
Right.
So how in the heck is that a $1 million expense?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a couple hundred.
Now, I will say, if you're helping your restaurants to be able to do business when you're taking away their ability to do business, that's constitutional via the takings clause. And I do agree that if you're going to take away somebody's ability to do business, you better dang well recompense them for that.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. I mean, but
and by the way, Governor Walz, I'm waiting for my check.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Me too.
I can't. I still can't play music. Did you know? And I just found this out. I know I'm sidetracking. Sorry. I just found this out
here.
One of my venues.
Throw your microphone anywhere.
That if you're playing inside, if you have your restaurant inside, you can have 50% capacity. If you have entertainment, you can have 25% capacity. Nobody can afford to bring in entertainment.
So how about like an outdoor patio? Can you play on that?
Yes. Yeah, okay. That's still 50%. But what's going to happen in 2 months? It's going to be too cold to...
You'll have to play in gloves and an Eskimo suit.
Have you ever tried playing a guitar in gloves?
Sure. I was Jimi Hendrix at it.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Now, it gets worse, Jay.
Does it?
Listen to this.
Yes.
Listen to this statement.
Okay.
Some of the CARES Act money is likely spent addressing long-standing problems that local officials can justify as a COVID-19 expense. So, translation, we're getting free money, so let's think of long-standing problems that we can justify. In Moorhead, Bodie, that must be the person the government affairs director, said they already have a detailed strategic plan for city upgrades that would be a good fit for a pandemic response, such as cleaning air duct systems. Oh, you mean you don't do that?
Wow.
Am I going to find like some rabbits and some cats inside of there?
Dust about 3 inches thick.
No kidding.
We haven't changed a filter in about 30 years.
You open it up and it says Dewey beats Truman. I mean, they haven't cleaned it up. What? Come on. You got to be kidding me.
No wonder everybody's sick at City Hall.
Oh, my God.
Criminy.
Okay, in all, a draft plan for Moorhead's $3.28 million would spend, listen to this, $1.28 million on city expenses like election support, public building improvements, telework equipment, public housing upgrades, and public safety staff salaries. I.e., everybody getting a raise.
Everybody getting a raise.
Now, remember, and that sets the baseline of where next year, when they don't get the free money, who's going to end up footing that bill? The residents of Moorhead. And we're going to have this Bodie toots to thank for it. Is that a guy or a girl?
I don't know.
Hold on.
Doesn't matter.
I thought it was a Sheila. Lisa Bodie.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Could have been a guy.
That's right. Many governments rolling out. Well, this day and age, maybe it wasn't. Forget it. Many governments rolling out grants, and we're not talking about the Civil War general
or football coaches.
Yeah, exactly. There's no Bud or no Ulysses in front of it. Another popular choice for CARES Act money is to spend it on grants for businesses and nonprofits. Oh, that's not corrupt.
Yeah.
Now we're going to give it to whoever. Let's check the campaign contributions to see who gets. But whenever you can't hand. Any way this is done, is not going to be fair.
Right.
It's just not. Nearly all officials who talked to MinPost said they are considering dedicating at least some money to them. In Moorhead, back to Moorhead.
Yes.
The city's remaining $2 million, after they did city expenses on election support, public building improvements, cleaned out their gutters, telework equipment, public housing upgrades, and public staff salaries, there's still $2 million left over. Okay? Is to grant a small program for nonprofits that could be launched as soon as mid-August. Derek Lapointe.
Maybe he's French, Lapointe.
He listened to this job.
Yes.
President and CEO of Downtown Moorhead, Inc.
Wow.
An economic development nonprofit that partnered with the city to devise local business initiative. Oh boy, should look into that.
Yeah.
Said at a late July council meeting they wanted to build a state grant program that saw far more demand than money to handle. Grant for what?
They could think of ways to hand out money all day. I'm sure we don't have enough money to hand out all the money we want to hand out. I don't understand it.
LaPointe said one hole in the state program was that only Minnesota residents were eligible. Oh, okay. We'll just give it to people who don't live here.
Yeah.
Was it North Dakota get their own money?
Oh, boy.
Nick Leonard, Deputy Administrator of Ottertail.
I'm just wondering, before you move on, it's kind of related to the Ottertail one, too. All this money going to nonprofits.
Now, who's watching the money? Who's watching this money, period?
Could this all be going through Act Blue?
Yes.
I mean, could they pick
Sure
nonprofits that are associated with Act Blue?
Why not? A nonprofit, it's a tax status, not a this is a good group or a bad group.
So they could just decide to funnel all this money into the Democratic Party if they want to. I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying they could.
If I'm reading this right, yeah. Nick Leonard from Leonard Skinnerd,
yes.
Deputy Administrator of Ottertail County in west central Minnesota, says he expects the bulk of their $7.21 million will be used on grants for small business and nonprofits. While the county has incurred plenty of expenses, Leonard said that the county board wants money largely to flow back into the community. A draft plan, which Leonard said was a starting point for the board, earmarked $4 million for businesses and grant programs for housing, food, and financial assistance. Oh, I see. So it's to create another welfare state.
I see. This time at the city level.
I got an idea. Why don't you have some open commercial property? Why don't you have a grant for somebody to come in there and start a business? Oh, no. It's going to go to somebody behind on their child support payments. That's what it's going to go to. Other cash, which like Yogi Berra said is just as good as money, was reserved for education. I'm sorry, what county deals in education again?
That's funny. The schools should have all sorts of money since they didn't do anything for the last half of last year.
Yeah, half of them aren't going to do anything this year. High-speed internet projects, public safety. The city of Marshall plans to send $500,000 of its $1 million on business and nonprofit grants to keep the local economy that was really affected by Welty Walls' stay-at-home orders, said Mayor Robert Burns. Burns, we'll go with Burns. Mr. Burns.
Yes.
The livelihood of our community, and any community, okay, that's community too many times in one sentence.
Yes.
Is the business sector. If we can help these businesses that rely, community again. Okay, Jay, what is meant by help the business?
Can help the business sector, then other sectors that rely on the business community are also indirectly helped. So they think they're going to help businesses that pour back into the community. That's the way I see it.
Help them do what?
Well, there are many things they could do. We should have put this in our opening section today. Black Lives Matter down in Louisville. Made demands on a section that got renovated of Louisville.
Oh, racketeering here we're talking about.
Right. And so you need to have X amount of black people working for you on your board, products created and designed by, so on and so forth, or you got to pay money and all of this. So theoretically, I'm not saying this is what they're doing, but they could look at it like, oh, you're hiring a very diverse workforce. You know what? We're going to give you more money because you're giving back to the community than somebody who isn't.
Well, how many? I mean, this is Marshall.
I'm not saying they will. Right. And Marshall is very white.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that their city council is probably not very conservative, despite where they're located.
Well, okay, maybe not. I have no idea. But guy does kind of
every city in the state.
Guy does complain about Walls' stay-at-home orders. Pretty good here, but
that's good. Well, I'll take that. But I'm just saying, when you make statements like that are so general without laying out the dictates of, okay, this is what this means, you leave room for that kind of stuff to come in. And we all know the city staff gets trained, here are the issues, here's what's popular, here's.
That's true, but I this is where the problem of how do you decide what businesses to help and what see my whole thing is, why don't they do it for every business? Say, look, every business can get $1,000 for doing
it's
X.
just like a TIF district.
Yeah, but
we're going to reward this business, and we're not going to reward this business. That's what they do.
Or an abatement.
And that's what it is. Like in Robbinsdale, you've got the people that run Travail and that group of businesses who get special favors all the time. Mm-hmm. City acts like a bank for and loans them money at low interest loans, gives them money, throws money. Don't
even get me started on the old Terrace Theater property.
But, yeah, Terrace Theater, gone. The pet and farm supply, gone. They didn't help those businesses, and that's what happens. Though it's like, what do we favor? And in Marshall, it may not be racial things. It could be, like I said, but it also might not be. But it might be somebody else. What are the businesses that are bringing in tax revenue from other places? What are the businesses that are hiring from outside the community so that more tax money is coming in?
Any metric they want can be used here.
Yes.
But again, if they do it for all businesses, that's one thing. If you sit there and pick out, okay, we're going to give money to these 10 and the rest of you 50 can, Joe's Barber and, Linda's hair salon or whatever. But you can't get it, but somebody else can.
Right.
Is again where we have this issue of if a business succeeds or fails. Now, obviously, if the governor orders them closed, we're not talking about the same thing. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to set up something like this, you can't do it where some businesses get it, some businesses don't. You got to be fair here.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can do this fairly.
Yeah, there's really not a way unless you just, here are the stipulations to meet, anyone can apply. You may not want George Smith from over on Rocky Road who works out of his den to get a business grant. Well, maybe you do.
Well, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a program with criteria and everybody can apply for it, or everybody can get it or whatever, that's fair. You can't have something where, okay, only big businesses with a lot of lawyers and accountants can figure this out.
Yeah.
Or you have to change from get a solar panel, to be able to do something here. I mean, they're complaining about all the restrictions that are being put on them, yet they don't seem to have any problem putting restrictions on anybody else. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, how about this? How about we say, okay, you know what? For the next 3 years, all the fees, all the liquor licenses, all the permits you have to get to do upgrades on your own property, waived.
Yeah.
How about that? Great. Isn't that fair? Mm-hmm. I mean, why does that? We can make that a grant program. Hey,
sure.
Liquor licenses. Hand out a grant for them. Hey, look, bars and restaurants were closed for 3 months.
Yeah.
Be nice not to have to pay $5,000 or whatever for that license next year.
Absolutely, since they didn't get to use it.
Every bar and grill's treated the same.
Yep.
They all pay the same license, don't they?
They sure do.
You need a permit for outside dining? Waived for the next 3 years.
Yep.
How about that as something? How about going through your city code and getting rid of some restrictions on businesses that they all can benefit from?
Yes.
You can choose to be open, you can choose not to, but we're going to create the atmosphere in which,
you can be successful.
Right. I mean, you create the environment and you let the private sector make that call.
Yeah. We want our city's businesses to be successful. We're going to create the environment for you to be successful. It's up to you to exercise that or not.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there are things like that I wouldn't, that's got to be better than spending it on Windows 95 or on public housing upgrades or finally cleaning their ducts that they haven't cleaned since,
Are you sure
Moby Dick was a minnow.
Was that ducks with a T or with a K?
Doesn't matter, the same ducks. See a few mallards landing in the. I did say ducks. For the longest time, I thought it was duct tape.
Right.
Not duct.
Right.
My dad, I swear, he always called it duct tape. Always had it hanging in the same spot in the garage, too.
Wow, that's great. If the duct tape doesn't go disappearing.
But, I mean, that would be, those ideas just kind of came to me. I mean, there could be, how about, you can waive fees for using community center stuff, waive fees for going to the pool, waive fees because then everybody can do it. Anybody can do it if they want to. I mean, I think there are fair ways to do it, but when I see we're going to have a grant program we all know what grants are all about. They're about getting behavior changes.
Yeah.
We're going to give you want to put a sidewalk here? Yeah, we know not really. Do the residents want it? No, not really. Well, you can get it for free. Oh, okay. Then go ahead and put it in our comprehensive plan, and
residents still don't want it.
Still hate it.
Yeah,
but it's free, buddy.
Well, how about waiving fees on building permits? That will cause people to go patronize the local hardware store.
Keep in mind,
yes.
Keep in mind something critical. The costs for these permits are passed off onto customers.
Yes.
Okay. So if you think you're sticking the evil rich guy with which most small business owners are not, by the way.
No.
And a lot of big businesses are franchises. It's a myth out there that you're sticking it to the big guy. But if you want to raise fees to people, they find a way to make that up. You know what I mean? They find a way to compensate. That's a loss on the revenue side of the budget for them. Mm-hmm. And the cities ought to know that. When they get something cut, don't they understand that the taxpayers either make that up or that goes away? We all know nothing goes away.
Right.
So pay attention to what your city is doing, to come to this. And of course, they're all whining that they can't just take it and do what they want with it. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, part of me understands making sure it's spent somewhere. Part of me thinks that you're open to Pandora's box. Mm-hmm. It's like both ways are bad. I mean, local leaders universally said they will find an outlet for the money rather than letting the cash-strapped state, oh God, really? Reclaim any of it.
I thought we had a surplus.
No, well, not anymore.
Well,
quote, the big thing is ultimately getting the money into businesses' hands and not giving the money back to the state. LaPlante of downtown Moorhead, Inc. told the city council with a laugh. That is the number one goal of the whole. So who cares where it goes, okay, as long as it's spent on something. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see downtown Moorhead, Inc., what these local businesses getting that into businesses' hands. I'd like to see what that definition really is.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's anything that we come up with. Great idea. We are Community Solutions. Mm-hmm. Remember, we always have ideas.
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, look at this amount of money. $841 million.
It's a lot of money.
I mean,
fresh off the
printing press
right here in Minneapolis.
Who can we
the
start?
Old cash and carry. You'll carry it right on over to you personally.
I'll lend and lease them. Lend and lease them back over the Atlantic is what I'd like to do.
Maybe we could make a trade back to England and
England. Boris ain't that dumb.
You can have this.
Boris Johnson ain't that dumb. Look,
we took too much of the revolution. You can take this.
If he wasn't in there, maybe. But Boris ain't going to take a nickel of that. Somebody else we could have fooled.
This mess.
Yeah, somebody else we could have fooled. So you can have Boston back if you want. I mean, I'm sure that tea is at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. Go get a tax on it. I mean, just think. We once fought a revolution over tea and stamps. I mean, just to think that now this happens. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is what it's come to. I mean, it's just sad. I mean, so,
and most people don't know this.
Yeah, but who's watching the money? By the way,
we are.
Yeah, who else? Where's the state auditor in this?
Well,
old Julie. What's she doing?
I haven't.
She moved today.
I haven't heard her name since the last election.
Oh, you haven't heard her name since I said it last. What's she doing? She have an office? She does anything? What's an auditor do 40 hours a week?
I don't know.
I mean, at a private company, I know what they do. But I mean, but what's the state? Look at the website. It hasn't been updated since,
Nixon.
Yeah, at least. It still says, it's still got Hubert Humphrey's name as the current vice president. So, I mean, it's pretty awful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's, but I'd like to know where this ends up, and I'd like to know how they justify, all of this stuff. I'd like to see if anybody implements some of our ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't have to wait too long, but I mean, I just, it'd be interesting to see if things like that happen. I mean, to give, holidays, if you will, on that kind of thing with it.
Yeah, I think any way they can do that right now, it would be beneficial. And I know the president is trying to get get a holiday on paying the. Why am I having a
payroll tax?
Payroll tax.
Why is that? Why is there opposition to that?
I don't know. That should not be controversial.
The people who benefit from that the most are small businesses and middle class families.
Yeah,
that's who benefits, because remember, after a certain amount of money, you don't pay that anymore.
Right.
So the rich people ain't getting it. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're already deducting payroll tax anyway. Yep. So I mean, who benefits from the most are the regular folks.
Mm-hmm.
Regular folks and small business owners. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. It does not require getting checks to anybody. It doesn't require the usual $500 deduction where you need 3 eyes and 12 fingers and 4 nose nostrils and you get a $500 tax credit. And all that, that kind of stuff. You've been doing taxes for 30 years. I mean, it's just the simplest thing you can do. You're going to have a 6-month holiday on it.
Government money always comes with strings. So why don't we
print money,
find a way not to take money?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to print money. You don't have to do anything like that. The inflation will be gobbled up in the free market.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm usually not wild on executive action, but if you think about it, the president's not writing a law. He's not changing rates. He's not spending money. So is this or isn't it? I think it's kind of wishy-washy whether he can.
Well, who collects that tax?
Okay, that's the executive branch.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
so he can just instruct them not to collect it.
That's a dangerous path to go down.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's the law to collect it. Then that's. Yeah.
But again, you're in that fuzzy area because, like I said, we're not writing tax law.
Right.
We're not spending money. Mm-hmm. We're not getting rid of this ultimately. None of that's changing.
Yeah.
So where are you in that? Because executive orders have their purpose. They're there for a reason. They've been abused the past 30 or 40 or 50 years, but the president's the head of the executive branch.
Yeah.
And the executive branch is there to carry out his policies. I mean, they are. That's what he has secretaries for.
Yep.
Okay, so where's the line between telling Treasury Secretary Munchin? I'm sure the IRS is under the was it Munchin?
Mnuchin. Yeah.
Mnuchin. I'm sorry. Right. I saw Mnuchin Munchin on TV. I'm sure the Department of Revenue's got to be under the Treasury Department. I mean, it has to be. So, anyway, for another day. Jay, why don't you, anything else to add on this? Or we pretty much ruin everybody's day already.
I think we pretty much did. But, I mean, this is a great point. I mean, we really need to watch this stuff because, I mean, they're trying to pass more stuff in Washington.
Yes.
And
at the state level, Governor Walz has proposed other stuff that has not been acted on. And if we ever get a bonding bill, we're going to see little projects that are we always see those little local projects that.
Well, speaking of which, yesterday, Walzy Walls, didn't he call everybody back into special session again after just getting out of special session?
Yes, both adjourned already. So nothing happened yet again. The House didn't even vote on
what? How can they not vote?
I don't think they did. I think they did not vote.
Don't
I think
they have to vote at least?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they have to.
So that means
they're giving election day cover. I think they're giving election day cover right now.
So that means that the emergency powers now go into September.
The
September,
Senate,
6 months.
The Senate voted, I think it was 37-30 to remove. There were 3 DFLers that joined the Republicans in that. Yep. So. Well, there's some lawsuits going on right now that had to be decided within a 90-day window, and that was about a month ago.
Yeah.
You could see. I mean, I don't know that the judicial branch is the way to take this. To me, ultimately, the Constitution has to be reformed in the long run, which is not an easy process here in Minnesota. No. But I mean, I think the House doesn't want to take a. I think they're. Look again. I told you about areas getting redder when you're out door knocking. I think they're aware of that. I think those House candidates are like, hey, I don't want to take another vote on this. My opponent's already chastised my 6 previous months. I can't give you another.
Yeah.
So I think I think then I'm right on that. Because I was following Arthur Fonzarelli Winkler III Jr. I was following Melissa Horrible and a few other people, and I thought Tom Hauser of Channel 5 had broke the story that the House adjourned without taking him or Theo Keith, because they're the only two who are ever accurate on anything around here.
Yeah.
And a little bit with Dave Montgomery from NPR is good at giving information. But, I mean, ultimately, they're the only 3 I'd ever look at anymore. So I think that they adjourned without taking a vote, because technically all they have to do is vote to remove them. So, and I know there's some procedural things that can make you take a vote.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I think you can call the question. Yeah, I think you can. Or you vote to take a vote, which happens sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
I move that we vote on this.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, and if a majority say yes, they must have just said, no, we're just going to shut down and not take a vote at all, which, again, the Constitution is so backwards in Minnesota. And there's no criteria on which they're basing removing these powers on.
Our state bird should be a weasel.
Yeah. Is that a bird?
No.
I like the
That's okay. I like it too. Could we have a state mammal? Is that something we could do?
Here's another thing.
Yes.
Why is it that the state bird has to describe the people in power in this state? On both sides.
Right.
I mean, here's another thing. Minnesota Senate, why have you not brought Malcolm X and all the other people in front? None of them they're all working unconfirmed. Where are the hearings? They could remove them today.
Right.
Where have they been all year?
Yeah.
You put them there and you make them answer real questions, not the BS that they get asked all the time.
Yeah. They get softballs at all the pressers.
For the most part.
So,
I mean, not all, but
for the 80%, most part. Yeah.
Or they don't give a straight answer or whatever. I mean, you could really, I don't know if they're saving this for the October surprise or what. I don't know, but they'd be gone if I were in charge.
Yeah.
You can work without one, Waltzy Walls. They're political appointments anyway. All right, Jay, enough of that.
Yes.
I'm handing it to you to end this show. Limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, styling and profiling with the sign-off sermon. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Bradley.
Well,
what's that, your Reagan impersonation?
Yeah. Well,
missed the basket there.
Yeah. Wow. Things just keep getting better in the state, don't they? Things just keep getting better. You know, we just saw the end of filing for candidacy. We'll see how all that shakes out. I think most races have at least one person in them, but the fact that there are races that have nobody, and there are a lot of races with one candidate. How is that holding somebody's feet to the fire? How is that fixing the problem? You know, there are so many people that don't do their duty to vote. They don't get involved in any way, shape, or form. But yet they're the first ones to complain about it, not liking what they see going on, but then weekend comes and they're just out in the boat or out on the golf course or picking flowers or picking their nose or whatever they do. And we have a responsibility. If we want to see things get better, we have to stand by that responsibility and put some skin in the game. I mean, here we are. Yeah, I understand CD5. But, I mean, there were multiple Democrats in the race.
Speak for yourself. CD3 over here.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way. I'll save it for next week.
Okay.
Keep going.
You interrupted my sermon.
Well,
I'm going to have the ushers escort you out.
I'm sorry. I'm just so proud I'm not in CD5 anymore.
Oh. I mean, how? With somebody that, and maybe we need to go over this in a future episode, but Ilhan Omar, there is a trail of social media posts that proves who her father is. That she married her brother to get him into the country illegally, that she committed immigration fraud, that she has multiple ethics violations for the way that she has run her campaigns and her campaign accounts, the way she has gotten paid for things that she shouldn't get paid for things, the things that she has said, the things that she has done, how she has put herself above the people of CD5. They reelected her, as far as getting on the Democrat ballot. I'm not saying that her competition was any good, but you know what you're getting with Ilhan. And you thought, that's good enough. And I don't get it. And it's not just her. There are people like this all over the place that are doing the wrong things, that are standing up for the wrong things, and we don't do anything about it. We just let it go on, and it doesn't just happen on the Democrat side. It happens on the Republican side. And I'm sorry, how Dario Anselmo wins his primary? When he has stood for all of the wrong things from a conservative perspective. But hey, he's got name recognition, and it's a shame that that's what counts in this country is name recognition. Name recognition usually means that you're getting the worst. Not always, but look at President Trump. I mean, and I'm sorry, you Republicans that refuse to vote for him, I have always said to vote your conscience. And in the past, it has been, okay, so if you vote for the Democrat, you're going to get a tax raise of $27 million. You vote for the Republican, you're going to get a tax raise of $20 million. It's like, hold my nose. No, in that case, either way, you're getting a big tax raise, and you need to make a stand and with a third party candidate. But here we are talking about voting your principles when it comes to having Marxism implemented in our government, or not having Marxism. I'll choose not Marxism every time, even if it's crappy progressive republicanism. I will take that a million times over before I will let Marxism come in and kill, like a cancer, everything that this country stands for. We are faced with a big choice. And we want to sit and we want to yap because we don't like what President Trump tweeted, or we don't like this, or we don't like that. You know what? This is serious. The left is in this game to win it. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They have implemented cultural Marxism policies for a long time, and it's taken us a long time to finally get it. And here we are, 100 years down the road on this Marxist train, and we all of a sudden have a lot of catch up to play. And we're still acting like there's nothing important, nothing critical. We're still taking our vacations. We're acting like it's life is as normal. Life is not normal. Life is not going to go back to normal. Do you understand that? We have people from all over the world, leaders, who are getting together next January to talk about the Great Reset and how to make a digital economy, how to get rid of cash, how to devalue our currency enough to where people disconnect from the American dollar. That's not conspiracy theory. That's flat out conspiracy. And if we don't care enough to stand up now and do something, it's going to be too late. And then everybody's going to complain about it. Oh, I don't know. I don't like this. You have a chance to do something now. Why do we complain about everything that's bad after it happens? Why don't we cut it off before? Why don't we stand up and do something and say, no, not on my watch. This is not happening. I am not going to allow my country, my state, my county, my city, my school district to go down this road. I'm not going to allow any gender that wants to use whatever bathroom they want. I'm not going to allow schools to continue to take my tax money and then not show what they do with it. And every 4 years, they're asking for another batch of money, and they don't have anything to show for it. I'm not going to allow my city to make sure that they don't treat everybody equally, that they prefer some businesses to others, that they prefer some minority groups to other groups, that they prefer this to that or that to the other thing, or that they're passing policies that enable people to set up autonomous zones, that they defund the police, that we are in the fight of our lives, Minnesota. We're in the fight of our lives. Yeah, I get a little passionate about this because I am not going to let the Marxists make policy for me and my family. I'm not going to give my kids an inheritance of a broken culture where they have no hope. It's time. If there are open races where you live, we're going to talk about this maybe next episode. How do you get in one of those open races? And if you didn't get in the game and your races aren't open, you got to make sure that the right people win, and part of that's voting, part of that is helping out, whether it's with $20 or whether it's with a sign location or it's going out and passing out flyers. We got to all pitch in and do this together, because let me tell you, Minnesota, our time is short. We have a short window of opportunity. If the Marxists win this election, it's done. If they don't win this election, we got 4 years to figure it out before the next election, because they're not going to quit coming until they get what they want. So we have to put it down. That's the only way. When you have a rebellion, you have to put it down. But that's up to us. It's not up to the National Guard, not up to the Marines, not up to the world police of the UN. We can't count on anybody. There's nobody coming if we don't do it. So We've got to hit our knees and pray hard, and then we got to stand up and we got to do what we're directed to do. That's the only way out. And that's why we do this. Every week we bring you a new episode. We do the research. We tell you what's going on, how your localities are being affected, because you can't come into this unaware. And you can't not tell your neighbors and your family and your friends, because it's only when we come together that we are going to get any results. So we do what we do, and we're here for you. You can always get a hold of us. Let us know what's going on where you live at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And if you did happen to get a candidacy, affidavit of candidacy in, and you are running for something all of a sudden, we would love to help you win. So get a hold of us. Now it's your turn. You've got something to do. You have work on your plate. You want to be a part of the team? You want to be a part of the solution? Yeah. We've done our part, Minnesota. We've done our part. We love you, Minnesota, but now it's your turn to get to work.